And I gained like 50 pounds in 3 years. I had just started feeling terrible in my body. I felt like garbage. I was pre-diabetic. I live up on a hill, so walking up and down the stairs became difficult for me. And I had 2 doctors tell me that you need to lose weight for your health. But even that didn't do it for me. But it was that one day when my fingers, I realized, had just become too big for my wedding rings. I was like, this is enough. That was it. Literally the next month I started, and that was almost 5 years ago. I've never looked back.
Hello, hello, Heal Squad. Glad to be back with you guys today. Today, we are making the impossible possible. We are joined by the fabulous Denise Kirtley. She is a Gen X powerhouse who went from never stepping foot in the gym to competing in a bodybuilding competition. And guess what? She's in her 50s. She is such inspiration for all of us. She is proof that it's never too late to become the strongest version of yourself. And she's sharing how a single moment sparked a total transformation. Plus how she went from pre-diabetes to fitness competitions in just 2 years. And she's giving us her tips on what you can do right now to lean out muscle, drop the pounds, and begin living your best midlife, or wherever you are. But first, our quote of the day. The way I see it, you have 2 paths in midlife. Either keep doing what you're doing and accept decline, or you decide you want more for the second half of life and get strong. That is from Denise herself. So friends, I'm really excited to jump into this conversation with Denise. I saw you on Instagram and I was like, who's that? That's amazing. And I kind of went down the rabbit hole. I'm like, guys, we need her. We need her in here. We need to talk to her. I had no idea you were a California native.
Yes.
So this is perfect that you get to be here in studio with us.
No, this is such a wonderful opportunity. Thank you. And I've, seen you on TV for years and years, so it's a little bit surreal, but I'm just thrilled to be here.
Oh, thank you. Well, I know you started this journey in kind of like this one moment. Like we said, there was this one transformative moment that was your aha moment. And I think, a lot of us have had weight struggles. I lost 40 pounds early on in my life too. And until you're ready, you try everything, you try them all, and then something just clicks. And so for you, it had to do with your wedding ring. Will you share with everyone?
Yes, and I want to say first, because I get this a lot, I think some women wait for that aha moment. I want to preface this by saying it doesn't have to be an aha moment.
Good point.
Do you know? Because sometimes it doesn't work that way. But for me, it was. And so I think I was the typical midlife woman about age 40, looking back, 44 to 45, I started just gaining weight. Things started changing. I started to feel differently in my body. And I gained like 50 pounds in 3 years. And
it happens quickly because isn't that like you were probably in perimenopause and all of that? Like I even told my trainer yesterday, I go, so I know I'm getting strong because I'm weightlifting as well. I said, and my upper body, I'm real good. But somehow down below, there's a layer of blubber that just didn't exist before.
Yes. No, things change. And I always say it's like the frog in the water, right? It's like the water's boiling and the frog is kind of just, it's there, right? It would normally jump out, but it hasn't because it's slow, but it accumulates pretty quickly.
Very quickly.
And so I had just started feeling terrible in my body. I felt like garbage. I had gone to the doctor. They said, just as you indicated, I was pre-diabetic. I had become pre-diabetic. And I also was told I had arthritis in both knees. All of a sudden, my joints were aching, my knees were hurting. I live up on a hill, so walking up and down the stairs became difficult for me. And I had 2 doctors tell me that you need to lose weight for your health. But even that didn't do it for me.
What's wild though, when you see your before picture, you weren't like obese or heavy, like you just had a little extra.
So I was almost 200 pounds. I was 192.
No way. It's because you're tall. That's
because I'm tall and I'm proportioned. I carried it well.
Me too.
As people say, you carry your weight well.
Damn, that happened to me too.
So when I say I'm almost 200 pounds, people are like, no, you weren't. I'm like, legit, I was almost 200 pounds.
Wow.
And I felt terrible, like in my body. I was not healthy. But I put up with it. But it was that one day when my fingers, I realized, had just become too big for my wedding rings. And I had to take those wedding rings off. There was just something about that moment that I was like, this is enough.
Yeah.
Like, this is finally it for me. And it was so impactful. I looked back in my phone later and I realized I'd taken photos of that. Like my finger, I'd taken the rings off and my fingers were swollen. You could see the indent, where my rings were. And it was just such an impactful moment for me that was it. Literally the next month I started, and that was almost 5 years ago. I've never looked back.
You were a headhunter before.
Yes.
Your rings won't fit. I mean, I got emotional just hearing that, so I can only imagine how that felt.
Yes. It was like an insult. Like, what am I doing to myself? Do you know what I mean? It was like that visual representation of like, what are you doing?
So what was your day like back then before you changed? Were you going out to eat with friends and just splurging and trying to fill that sadness with stuff?
Yes and no. I mean, for the first few years, and I didn't even know I was in perimenopause. Like, that didn't even really hit me at the time.
Well, nobody talked about it till now.
No, I never really thought about it. I knew the term. I didn't really know exactly what that meant. Looking back now, I can see very clearly what was happening. But at the time, I didn't really have awareness around it. But I was doing, just like every woman says, I was doing the same things. It's not like all of a sudden I just started eating, cheeseburgers 24/7 or anything.
Yeah.
And the weight was just piling on. And for me, I had these emotional eating issues most of my life. My weight was up and down, but maybe 20 or 25 pounds, not 50 pounds. And the more that I started to feel like garbage, and what happens in perimenopause, your weight distribution changes. So I started to get bigger around my middle.
I understand.
My sleep was not good, right? Like, I started having sleep issues. Then I started feeling stressed out. And then I started feeling depressed. Then I started using food and, emotionally. So it kind of was this cumulative effect of these perimenopausal symptoms leading to this weight gain. And then, one day you wake up and you're 50 pounds heavier. But also, it was COVID. So this was August 2020, and I'd gained like 15 pounds just in 2020. And we started to get really good at making pizza at home, right?
Okay.
Like really good at it.
Okay, so there's a big change.
Yes.
That's a big change.
Yes.
So that did accumulate because pizza.
And wine. To be honest, there was a period of time in COVID I was always a weekend wine drinker, like maybe Friday, Saturday night, I'd have a glass or two. It was almost every night.
Yeah.
For a couple months in COVID. Like, I was just using that to cope. I look back now and it's like, oh my God, what was I doing to myself? Because my relationship with alcohol is very different today. But yeah, it was not healthy. And like most women, I was a carb addict. Like, my diet was primarily carbs, very little protein. And now it's really the opposite.
Which also will feed your emotions in an improper way too, right? Because now there's so much sugar that's creating a lot of chaos. And so you decide that's it.
I decided that was it.
What did you do? Because what you've done is like the extreme version of, like, let's say what I did. I lost the weight, but I didn't turn into bodybuilding,
right?
Which, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, like, that requires a lot of science, a lot of work, a lot of research. Like, that's like a whole other life.
Yes.
That you are creating for yourself. And so I'm just blown away at how much work and research must have gone into that, rather than just, okay, I'll eat a little less, I'll move a little more kind of thing.
No, exactly. So the way that, because I had done every diet, first of all, under the sun. I had done Weight Watchers multiple times. I had done Michael Thurman's 6-week body makeover multiple times. Like, you name it, I had done that. What is that? Prolon, where you eat.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I've done it all over the years. You name like a big name in the 90s or early 2000s that had a program, I did it. And I started to really just watch people online. And I was seeing these really fit women in their 50s, 60s, and even 70s, like with muscle. And I had always thought I'd love to have that kind of body, but that wasn't me. Like, my story was, that wasn't for me. That wasn't my body type. That wasn't something that I could achieve. Like,
Were you
in my mind.
ever thin like this?
Yes. On and off. Yes.
Okay.
Thin
so
like
then
this,
what
but not
made
muscular.
What made you
Never
believe
muscular.
that you, okay, so it wasn't the muscle that you thought was
thin,
accomplishable.
But not muscular.
Okay.
Yes. So I saw this and I thought, if these women can do it, why can't I do it? And then I thought, what are they doing? And they were all lifting weights and they were all tracking macros. So I thought, I didn't know anything about tracking macros, but I have to figure this out. So I joined some Facebook groups where women were tracking macros, and I just watched. For like 8 months, I watched. So I was watching, as I was still gaining weight. And I wasn't doing
What were you
anything.
watching?
So I was watching their meals, how they were
shared what they ate.
Yes, what they ate, what the macros were, how they were weighing their food, because when you track macros, you do weigh your food. It is about data. I was watching their protein intake, and I'm really starting to understand that was a really important piece of this. So
Facebook college.
Yes, Facebook college, exactly. I lurked, on these Facebook pages, and I just thought I could do this. I'd seen enough of these women do this that I thought, why can't I do this?
I love that.
There's nothing wrong with me. I should be able to do this.
That's how I've looked at everything. If someone else can do it, why can't
you
I?
Can. Exactly. That's why I share my story. Like, literally, I wasn't an athlete. I don't have special genes. There's nothing special about me. What I have done, you can do. 100%. Every woman.
It's just the dedication,
it's
the focus.
Just the consistency. Exactly. Yeah. So I found an online company that sent me a set of macros.
Before you say that, just because I know people are going to wonder, are you somebody that has a lot of willpower in life?
Yes, but in my work, I had always been able to apply that at work, and I had been a high achiever in that area of my life. I had never really been able to apply that to my physical self, which is why my weight had been up and down for years.
Got it.
And a lot of this, and I'm sure we'll get into this, the thing I did different this time than any other time and why it's worked for me is I also worked on my mindset and the stories that have been holding me back, and really came to terms with what I had been telling myself about how this life wasn't for me, and I wasn't a someone who was a bodybuilder, and I wasn't athletic, and I couldn't build muscle. Like, I had that story in my head for years. And it was when I said, no, that's the BS, right? Then everything changed for me.
Wow. Only because I know my husband will sometimes, say, Maria, you're different because you have willpower. Because I do have an extraordinary amount of willpower. When I say I'm done, I'm done.
Yes.
I don't, but a lot of people don't have that. And I think that it's inspiring when you get to hear somebody doesn't, because then you connect, because most people have that. My mom didn't have willpower. My dad, that's where I got it. I watched my dad. He said he was going to quit smoking. He quit smoking. He never looked back. He became type 1 diabetic. They said, don't eat sugar. He didn't eat a stitch of bread, a stitch of sugar ever again. So I kind of took after him. Mm-hmm. And so I know that's a little unrealistic for a lot of people because it's hard. So I wanted to just make sure people understood that before we went into the next phase of this.
Yes. And I think what I'll say about that for me, and I think a lot of people potentially experience this, is that I have always had perfectionist tendencies. Mm-hmm. So in my business, like, I could give it 100% and really focus on being perfect and give it my all. But I never was able to apply that, like I said, in for my physical self and in my journey of health. And what I did differently this time is that I didn't hold myself to a standard of perfection, because the old me, I always say I'd get to 5 weeks. Like, I could do something really well for 5 weeks. I could be on a diet for 5 weeks. I could be in a weight training program, or not, I wasn't training weights, but, run or whatever it was that I was doing for 5 weeks. And then I would give up because I wasn't perfect, because I'd fall off the wagon, because I'd have a binge, or, I'd eat some things that weren't on plan. And I thought, well, I can't do this. This time, I allowed myself to be imperfect, and I gave myself grace.
How did you do that, though?
It was really like daily intention. I took it one day at a time. Mm-hmm. It really, you can't think about the goal. You have to think about, I'm just today going to wake up and do what I need to do and try to check all the boxes.
Because it's that hard.
Yes.
At first, especially, because that's what I did when I was losing 40 pounds. It was just, I never thought I was going to lose 40 pounds. I was just like, I have to make better choices.
Yes.
Every day I'm going to make a better choice. Yes. I'm going to eat I'm going to cut off a quarter of the bagel and throw it out and eat the rest of the sandwich. And then it's like, okay, now I can get to half a bagel. And oh my God, I'm eating half the top of the bagel cut off. Okay. And then I got to no top bagel and just the bottom part of the bagel, and then no bagel at all, and now I'm just eating eggs plain. And little teeny changes accumulate, and then you get more confidence little by little. You can do it, because the first couple days suck, and when you're working out the same thing, first couple days suck. You feel weak, you feel lame, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. But if you just keep making those changes every single day, you'll get there.
It's so true. And that what you described is just perfect, because most people can't just say, okay, I'm drawing the line in the sand. I'm going to now, everything's going to change overnight.
Yeah. Oh, no, even someone like me who has incredible willpower, it is still
it's very hard.
Extremely difficult in the beginning.
Yep.
So
I always say if it wasn't hard, every midlife woman would be fit, right? It's hard.
This is a good point. But you know what isn't hard, guys? Summer vacation. And I am so ready because Macy's is having their Buy More, Save More event, so I can stock up on some new summer essentials for my vacation plans this year. Here's how it works. When you guys spend up to $100, you get 20% off. When you spend over $100, you get 25% off. When you spend over $200, you get 30% off. Talk about the perfect time to stock up on some vacation wardrobe and other essentials. So seriously, guys, take advantage of some new denim shorts from Levi's, some linen maxi dresses. You guys know I'm obsessed with linen right now. Cover-ups, kids, baby swimwear. I got some cute things for Athena there and so much more. If you need a little vacation inspo, you can check out my wish list in the show notes. I put together a great lookbook of key summer essentials that I think you guys will love. Macy's Buy More, Save More event is from May 29th through June 1st in store or at Macys.com. Don't know if I have willpower when it comes to Macy's and shopping, but that's okay.
I love Macy's.
Because they get great deals. So, okay, so you decided to not be a perfectionist.
Yes.
You took it day by day.
Yes.
You had studied these Facebook groups.
I did.
You knew about macros. Yep. I know zero about macros. I would love to learn about macros.
Okay.
So maybe that's the next thing.
Yes.
Just kind of tell us what that is.
So macros stand for macronutrients, which is protein, carbs, and fats. So instead of just tracking calories or monitoring your caloric intake, you're really monitoring how much of these three things you're getting per day, how much protein, how much carbs and fats you are intaking per day.
Which is so important for your blood sugar because that's what I do as a diabetic.
Yes. Okay, yes.
And make sure I have a good balance.
Right. And so what it is, it's about measuring. It's about data. Because the only way to lose weight is to be in a calorie deficit. So you can track macros in a deficit to lose weight. You can be on keto and lose weight because you're eating a lot of protein. Chances are you're eating less overall food and you're in a calorie deficit. Intermittent fasting works because you're shortening your eating window. You're probably eating less in an 8-hour time period. You're in a caloric deficit. The only way to lose weight is caloric deficit. So if you do macros, you're tracking these three things. So you will weigh your food on a scale in grams as you eat it. And that is everything. Because if you know exactly what you're taking in and we can get to a point where we really understand what your energy output is, we can make sure you're in a calorie deficit. And weight loss is therefore nearly guaranteed.
So do you have to have carbs though? Because as I'm sitting here, I'm like, I really do restrict carbs. I wasn't. And then I think I, had a little extra blubber. And now I'm restricting it. And not even just because of the blubber, my blood sugars have been so stubborn and frustrating that I just was like, okay, I can't do this anymore.
I do know some people feel better with less carbs and a little bit more fat, right? But I do believe we need carbs, especially, we have clients. If I'm asking you to go to the gym and lift weights 4 days a week, like I want you to have enough energy to do that, right? And your carbs are your energy source. So it does play an important role in your ability to build muscle, which I do believe is critically important as we age. So I do personally believe we need carbs. But, having said that, the distribution between carbs and fats might be different based on the person and their individual. Everybody's unique.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Each one of us is unique. And so it's not necessarily one size fits all. But I don't, carbs in and of themselves don't make you gain weight.
So the macros process is there like a number-ish you're supposed to stick to? I mean, and it's probably weight-based and height-based. And
it's based on your height, your age, your weight, your current weight, and really your activity too. So someone who's very active is going to be burning more energy per day than someone who's largely sedentary. So your macros are based on lifestyle factors as well. But literally what you would do is if you wake up in the morning, you would have a goal for your breakfast, how much protein, carbs, and fat you want in that meal. And you figure out over time, it's a process to learn what works for you. You weigh your foods on a scale, you put it in a tracker, like a macros tracker, a tracking app, kind of does the math for you. So I'll put, my sourdough bread is 40 grams and it tells me, okay, that equals 14 grams of carbs. Or I'll put, 200 grams of yogurt, Greek yogurt, and that might be 20 grams of protein or 22 grams of protein.
So you actually weigh it on a scale?
I do, every single thing.
Wow.
Now this
and
is not,
still?
I still do because I enjoy it.
Okay.
It's just become a lifestyle for me.
Okay.
But it's not, the goal is not that you weigh your food. Like if you're tracking macros, you get to your goal, you start to understand what your plate needs to look like.
Yeah.
To reach your goal and sustain it.
Well, also now it's your profession and you have to be a little bit more accurate than others.
I do, and I go through different phases, and that's kind of the cool thing. You can literally control how you want. I mean, I thought my physique was just by happenstance. Like maybe I'll eat healthy and I might lose weight. And I was never really clear on what was happening. Now I know exactly what's going. Like if I want to look like this, I know exactly what I need to do. We can control that.
Yeah.
It's fully controllable, but it does take effort, right?
Yep.
And intention. It all comes down to intention. But in general,
I like that over willpower. That's a really good distinction because you've never used that word. You're just like, it's intention.
It's intention. And I think to live your best life as you age, it comes down to intention. You have to get very intentional with your health because things change. And if you don't start to really pay attention to what's going on and adjust and support an environment where your body's going to thrive as you age, you're going to decline. I mean, decline is the path you're on unless you intentionally get off that path.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the inevitable.
Yes.
Because we are.
Exactly.
We're going down.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be that way. But the thing I will say, and I want to make sure I say, is most women undereat protein. And in general, about 25 to 30 grams of protein per meal is a good general recommendation.
It's usually like a handful, right? Or like a fist.
Like a chicken breast. When you look at your plate, it's about a quarter of your plate. So like
we all have different sizes of plates.
Yes, exactly. The normal plate. What is the 8-inch? I don't know.
That's why, I think I had a trainer who was always like, I think it's your fist.
Yeah,
the size of your fist for protein.
When you track, you learn that different protein sources have a lot more protein content than others. Like chicken breast, tons of protein.
I don't eat chicken
Beef, less so, but a lot of fat. Right? You start to just know. You get an amazing awareness.
The beef makes sense because when I eat steak, my blood sugar spikes.
Yes.
Always.
A lot of fat.
But salmon, no.
Salmon, yep. I like sockeye salmon. It has about half the fat of other salmons. So you just start, when you track, you start to learn. Mm-hmm. And I think that's it. You do it for a period of time. You start to learn. You get a lot of awareness around what's in food, how much protein, how much carbs, how much fat.
That's why I think glucose monitors are so important for people to try, even if you don't have diabetes, just so you can see what you're doing to yourself every day with your coffee and your muffin in the morning. And what are you doing in the afternoon when you're having that pasta salad or whatever it is, or the salad with the dressing that's got tons of sugar and you didn't even know and you think you're doing well. These were the things that I started learning, when I was losing weight too. It's like, oh my gosh, these salad dressings have like 30 grams of sugar.
Exactly. I've stopped
my coffee.
Yes. It's interesting. I would like to do that. I've not actually done that.
Yeah.
But I also hear, for some people, avocado might spike your blood sugar, where other things that normally wouldn't. Like, we're all unique. So I think there is value in learning your unique body, right? Learning about ourselves and really understanding what changes things for us specifically, because we're all different.
Okay, so you studied all this stuff and then you started putting it into action.
I did.
What was like day one like for you? And then from there on?
So it was, first of all, I was almost 200 pounds and I was going to weight train for the first time. And I had weight trained a little bit in my 20s, meaning I'd go into a gym and like do some bicep curls, not like a plan, just kind of, I was a cardio queen. Then I'd go in the weight room and lift some dumbbells for a little bit, but nothing serious. So I had planned my meals, which took a long time because when you start tracking, it feels hard, right? It's like I'm weighing stuff. I'm trying to hit 30 grams of protein. How do you do this?
It's overwhelming.
It's overwhelming at first.
Yeah.
And I tell women it's going to be. Like, expect it to be hard. It takes about 8 weeks. And then you're like, okay, I'm good. Like, I got it.
Yeah.
You find meals that work for you. You just repeat it. You make it simple. You don't put 10 ingredients in things. You use 4 to 5.
Which is also easier on your digestion.
Exactly. So, and then you get into a groove. But it's like anything when you're learning, it's hard, right? And you can do hard things. I always tell you gotta be willing to do the hard things if you want to live a good life. But then I started weight training in my bedroom, my guest bedroom with the dumbbells, because gyms were closed during COVID.
Does your husband work out?
He dabbled.
Okay.
He does now.
Okay.
It took him 3 years, and then he started going to the gym regularly.
Wow.
About a year and a half ago, and his physique has totally... Men change so fast.
I know.
It's not even hard for them.
They're lucky all around in
They
so
have all that
many ways.
testosterone, and then it's all of a sudden they have muscles. But my workout took 2.5 hours, and it probably should have taken 45 minutes. But I was so sedentary for so long and so exhausted and so winded that I just had to take breaks in between sets. It was hard.
Wow.
I hated it. And I want to normalize this. You don't have to like it. Do you know what I mean? Like women are like, I don't like lifting weights. I'm like, it's irrelevant. You just have to do it. But you don't have to like it day one, but I guarantee you're going to start to like how you feel.
Yeah.
And then you're going to start to like lifting weights. It's not love at first sight.
Well, and then also you can find different versions or different exercises that you can do that you will like rather than the ones you don't like that will access the same muscles. Because I know sometimes I'm like, oh no, I hate this. I'm not doing this. Okay, there's a swap.
I agree with that completely. Yes. But at first, like, who can expect you're 50 or we have women that are 100 pounds overweight in our programs? It's not fun to like start lifting weights when you haven't done that for maybe ever in your entire life. We can't expect that it's going to be enjoyable at first, but it will become, you have to trust the process.
Well, I always say, get addicted to that feeling.
Yes.
Like that's what you want to zone in on, that feeling of like, whatever it is, that first little muscle you're seeing kind of pop, or how your clothes are starting to like feel a little differently on you. Start getting addicted to that high.
Exactly.
And keep rolling with it.
You have to celebrate all the little wins, right? All the little forms of progress.
So 2 hours.
Yes. And then every day though, it was a little bit easier, right? And then I finally got to a point where it was like an hour, and in 9 months I had lost 50 pounds.
Wow.
That.
Oh my God. We have some interesting crossovers because it took me 5 months to lose 20 pounds. I had no idea until my now husband, then boyfriend, looked at me. He's like, your clothes are falling off of you. That's how distant I was from an actual goal. I just was making the little changes. And then I got on the scale and I started screaming. I was like, whoa. And then that's all the motivation you need.
Yes.
To be like, okay, now I'm going to throw in some exercise. I'm going to do this. I'm going to really count everything. Friends, I'm going to take a quick pause right here. And we are going to come back tomorrow where Denise is going to share with us what we need to eat to achieve a total body transformation like she's had. Guess what? It also includes chocolate. So I think you'll be happy about that. And some of the other things she's done and her programs that she's involved with now as well. So don't forget to come back tomorrow. Also, if you haven't signed up to be a Heal Squad member on Patreon, we have a bonus show with Denise that you can get access to, ad-free episodes, exclusive Heal events that we do every month with the community, which is so fun, and bonus content and gifts and so much more. So I've linked how to get access in the show notes below. In the meantime, be nice people, make good choices, and be present. Hey, Heal Squad. We have been on quite the journey together, and we're hearing from so many of you just how much this show is helping you heal and get better, and it makes us feel so good. We love, love, love it, and we just ask that you don't keep it to yourself. Spread the message and share the show or your favorite episode with your friends. And if you want to help us even more, you can leave us a 5-star rating and a comment on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and follow us on Instagram at Heal Squad. You can also DM us anytime because we love connecting with you. And finally, you can also join us on Patreon for our monthly live heal events with world-class healers and ad-free episodes exclusive only to Patreon and our Super Heal Squad for as little as $10 a month. So go to patreon.com/Heal Squad to join. Getting better isn't easy, friends, but as I say all the time, it's a whole lot easier if we can do it together. We love you all so much, and we love doing this thing called life with you.
This podcast and all related content published or distributed by or on behalf of Maria Menounos or MariaMenounos.com is for informational purposes only and may include information that is general in nature and that is not specific to you. Any information or opinions expressed or contained herein are not intended to serve as or replace medical advice, nor to diagnose, prescribe, or treat any disease, condition, illness, or injury, and you should consult the healthcare professional of your choice regarding all matters concerning your health, including before beginning any exercise, weight loss, or healthcare program. If you have or suspect you may have a healthcare emergency, please contact a qualified healthcare professional for treatment. Any information or opinions provided by a guest expert or host featured within website or on company's podcast are their own, not those of Maria Menounos or the company. Accordingly, Maria Menounos and the company cannot be responsible for any results or consequences or actions you may take based on information or opinions.